When we consider the subject of work, Solomon's words in Ecclesiastes provide a very fitting starting point. Whatever your hand finds to do, do it with all your might, for there is no activity you're planning or knowledge or wisdom in Sheol, where you are going, Ecclesiastes 9 and verse 10. Our time here on earth is limited. Therefore, we must work hard in the time that we have. For once our lives here are over, there will be no more opportunity to do what we ought to have done during our time under the sun. So Solomon spends a good deal of time in the book of Proverbs discussing the important subject of work. Today we're going to talk about some of the virtue and the rewards of work. We learn in Solomon's writings that work is not only necessary and honorable, but that it also leads to blessings from God as we carry out the responsibilities of life. He says that in all labor there is profit, but mere talk leads only to poverty, Proverbs 14 and verse 23. Some seem to have the idea that some work is worthwhile, but other work is useless. Now, it's certainly true that from a financial standpoint, certain types of labor are more profitable than others, but Solomon says that all labor is profitable. He then warns us against spending all of our time merely talking and planning about what we might do. It's so easy to become so distracted by plans and dreams that we do not accomplish any actual work. Friends, no matter how good our plans or our ambitions may be, they are worthless if we never do any work to make those plans a reality. Solomon goes on to say, the glory of young men is their strength, and the honor of old men is their gray hair, Proverbs 20 and verse 29. Solomon says that old men have the advantage of experience and wisdom implied by gray hair. In contrast, the young men have their strength. Therefore Jeremiah said, it is good for a man that he should bear the yoke in his youth, Lamentations 3 and verse 27. But too often young men in our society want to do the least that they can to get by. Perhaps they think that the time for hard work is when they get older, or maybe they're hoping to figure out some get-rich-quick scheme so as to avoid the need to work hard at all. But whatever the motivation might be, young men who are striving to follow God's wisdom rather than worldly wisdom should use the strength of their youth to work hard rather than follow their peers in the way of laziness and futile, childish pursuits. Solomon says that a worker's appetite works for him, for his hunger is what urges him on. Proverbs 16 and verse 26. When God created man, he gave him a natural indicator in his own body that would remind him of the need to eat in order to sustain life. That is, hunger. Solomon says that this hunger motivates man to work hard so that he can sustain himself from the fruits of his labors. One of the reasons that many become trapped in the rut of laziness is because they do not feel the motivation of hunger to urge them to work hard. When laziness is rewarded or subsidized, people will continue in that laziness. But when laziness causes one to be hungry, the book of Proverbs mentions 3 things which cause the earth to quake, and 4 under which it cannot bear up. And one of those is a fool when he is satisfied with food, Proverbs 30 and verse 22. When one refuses to work and suffers hunger because of it, then he harms himself. But when one refuses to work but is rewarded for his laziness with food and the necessities of life, then society is harmed because of it. Friends, we need to understand that whenever we consider this concept of work is an honorable thing. Work is blessed by God. We're able to provide for ourselves and for our families. There are rewards that come from being diligent in the labors that are before us. Solomon says that both the diligent man and the lazy man will work. Those who are lazy are trying to avoid that work, though. But eventually, work is unavoidable. At some point, we all must work. and provide for our needs. Friends, we thank you for joining us for our program today, and have a blessed day.